The Broken Dub podcast analyzes what makes Olympic athletes, comedians, writers, and creatives great. Season 1 is titled Breakthroughs. This season of the podcast delves into the breakthroughs we have in our respective fields when we destigmatize mental health and move past the roadblocks within our minds. Executive produced by Ellen Utrecht of Mike TV. Monsoon Diaries, take one. Boom. Smash the like, subscribe, follow. You know the drill. This is the Broken Dove Podcast, and I'm your host, Danny Simmons. And welcome to the Broken Dove Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Simmons, and we are joined by the incredible, multi-talented director, doctor, b-boy, badass, writer, photographer, and visionary mind behind the Monsoon Diaries. This is Dr. Calvin Sun. Sun works as an attending physician and clinical assistant professor in emergency medicine at multiple emergency departments in the New York City area. During the COVID-19 pandemic, he rotates among different hospitals in NYC, did first-person reporting of his experiences and thoughts on how the disease manifests itself on IG. I started following him, stalking him, sharing his Instagram with every person I know. He's an inspiration. He is jacked. He can do one-arm push-ups. I want to one day be able to do that. And I think that he's just like an inspiration on how to live your life. In his interview with Katie Couric, he likened working on the front lines of the pandemic to going to war every day. So I think that it's a very important time to have him here with us because, you know, we are in the throes of this disease. And thank you so much for joining us. With no further ado, we have the doctor, the man of the hour. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. What a very thorough and unbelievable intro. I can't even believe that it's about me. I'm a little surreal here, but thank you.
Well, you know, I'm a low-key official hype man. I'm going to tell you this, and I've seen you do. I was like, man, this guy. Like, I feel like I've seen you hold onto a pole and like defy gravity. So you defy the odds. You have energy. You were even on, I believe, Yahoo this morning, right? And yeah. And you're
right
working
after some crazy patient encounter too. Like, you can hear the adrenaline still in my voice.
Yeah,
that was just like a couple hours ago.
Yeah, and so what's this like? I mean, obviously you're filled with this spirit. You know, you have such an energy about you, and you're obviously an inspiration to the world. I mean, even since 2007, you made a great film. What's it like seeing people, you know, their responses to yourself on Instagram and just throughout the world every day?
Just grateful.
Yeah.
Just so grateful that some people care, and some people say they feel validated in their own life course, knowing that there's someone out there who also similarly has no plan in life and flies by the seat of their pants, not knowing what the next move is. And I think that energy speaks to those out there who feel lost, like I did many times, and still, even right now, I don't know what I'm doing right after this podcast. Usually I don't even know what I'm doing 5 minutes from now, so at least this podcast distracts me from not knowing what my next plan is. And you know, it's not something I'm comfortable with because I'm, by baseline, someone that schedules when I sleep. I'm very to the T, which is hard to believe, but I think I've also created a habit of being comfortable with being uncomfortable ever since 2006. So I like really, you know, it's a practice, and that practice has, I guess, paid dividends looking back. But when I was in the moment, and never expected to turn out this way, where, you know, so many people, you know, find some kind of kindred spirit with my energy.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. That comfortable being uncomfortable. That's something my coach. I played baseball in college, and he always used to repeat that. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. I mean, it's a military term. It's such a key phrase. I love that. Obviously, what I love about athleticism and how we apply it to life is that there's so many things we can learn, and you have rituals, and I've seen them, and I've kind of, you know, been inspired to get back in my own meditative state. What are some of the rituals you repeat on a daily basis, and how do you get into that meditative state of working out and flow?
I try to make it such a habit now that it's subconscious, that I am ended up doing these rituals without even noticing it. Small things like brushing your teeth every day. That took practice. Learning not to pee outside the toilet. That, toilet training was like an example of that. Like, that took conscious practice, daily routine, and eventually became part of you. And it's, sometimes you make mistakes, But that's also another constant daily practice: forgiving yourself, self-forgiveness, sleeping every day.
I'm still making that mistake though.
Yeah, sorry, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Yeah. And just sleeping very well, having these sleep hygiene habits that make sure that you get 8 to 9 hours of sleep every night, and perpetuating being able to wake up more refreshed, so that you are able to consciously work on more of your habits, so that you can sleep better and then become more efficient with your work, and just knowing when to deal with failure and with those hiccups, having a habit ingrained when you fall down, what is the habit that kicks in when that happens, when you fail at something, when something goes wrong? How do you stop the negative feedback cycle? Because one negative thing can also beget another negative thing, just like a good night of sleep can beget more efficient work that allows you more time to sleep more. All these can have momentum, and the habit lies into how to change that momentum and shift gears, and that also requires a habit of constant self-awareness. At what point, when you get do you become aware that you're getting carried away with something? I have a little habit that if everything's is turning out really, really well, I actually stop myself, quit while you're ahead kind of idea, and take a deep breath and just be grateful that I'm still alive and feeling good. I just got the vaccine second dose. All my colleagues who got it, feeling a little lousy, a little headache. I mean, they say it's totally worth it. And I'm, it's been about 6 to 8 hours. It might hit me in the middle of this podcast, but I'm getting ready for it. I'm wearing thermals right now. I have a sweatshirt behind me. I'm ready to sweat it out. And, just that's all like subconscious, getting ready for that and knowing when to be grateful right now in this moment that I'm feeling okay and have no symptoms since the second dose of the vaccine. So, just constant self-awareness and self-forgiveness.
Beautiful. And I feel like you have done so many incredible things in your life, right? And I think that a lot of times when people start to feel the heat and the love and the momentum, I'm from LA, so I've seen people go from zero to hero, and become really famous overnight, and it grows on us and it changes people, right? But I've noticed that your ego has maintained, and sustained this beautiful place, and we all know that kind of like the ego is the enemy. How do you stay so humble while achieving what a lot of people would see as great success?
Are we sure we're talking about the same person? Because I guarantee you, yes, even my best friends who I invite every year to my birthday, or even if I don't have a birthday, I hate having birthdays. It's so weird. I guess that's your answer, right? They still want to have a birthday for me. You ask any of those people, they would be like, I am the last person to be attached to the word humble. And I don't know, I'm trying to be at the risk of sounding egotistical, I am self-aware. I'm self-aware about narcissism. I know about the way I carry myself, how harmful, and it's just like you make mistakes. There are a lot of times we make mistakes and get carried away, and we try to stop ourselves. My hands are filthy with getting carried away by not being humble when I get really into something or I love the spotlight too much. At the very least, yes, I'm aware of it when it happens. And I think that could be the answer to your question. I don't want to say I'm humble because I know people make fun of me for how much I love the spotlight, but at the same time, I'm still that weird, introspective, insecure little kid when he was 6 years old, too scared to talk to anyone, too scared to put himself in the position. I'm still that person. I just, have created habits to put myself out there, to push myself out there. I hate having birthdays because that's like the day where everyone wants to put attention to you, and I feel so awkward. I hate throwing birthday parties. I mean, I do it because it's great to have all my friends together and hang out with them, but just the energy just makes me feel so blah and inauthentic and gross. But I think those are the same friends that know that side of me or stay friends with me, despite that the other 364 days of the year, I'm this cartoon character that loves having attention to himself. But that's, I think, the image and this vibe I've created artificially after my dad died, after I grew up like a scared, insecure, very introverted kid that just wanted to get out but just didn't have the confidence to do so. I created this as a way to get myself out there, and I ended up liking it. Some of the feelings and the benefits it brought to me, meeting new people, expanding my horizons. But it's just like a vacation. You can't be vacationing all the time. Sometimes you need to go home, and I am also that guy that no one sees because you don't see what you don't see. When I'm not posting, when I'm not in spotlight, I'm writing in my journal, in my diaries, curled up in, by a window, not traveling, and enjoying my anonymous feeling of being in a cafe, away from everyone. But it's a balance, because as much as I enjoy that, I get sick of that too, and sometimes I want to put myself out there. I love public speaking and going out there. So it's this constant, battle, diametrically opposed forces in my life that I have to balance through extremes. And I think that's a New York mentality. What better way? But it's the self-preservation. And finally, that veneer or that cartoon character side of me, that's also like a filter for people. If people see this cartoon side of me and think I'm this cocky, insecure, narcissistic person out there, well, fine. I mean, they're obviously not willing to do the work to get to know me better. They're obviously not willing to, not that gonna be the kind of person that wants to be my friend anyway, to dig deep, to do the effort of digging deep and see what the traumas that led me to that being that person. Then they're not worth it. They can take me for who I am. It saves me a ton of grief. I don't have to worry about cutting them out of my life later when I realize I can't rely on them. They do the work for me. The ones who make the effort, who look at this cartoon side of me, and it's like this public persona, it's like, no, that's not him, and there's something else to him, and give me the benefit of the doubt to cut through all those layers, all the buffoonery, and they get to know me, could take the time to read my, the things that I've written, or to get to know my story, or at least ask me just approach me and ask me questions. Then they are worth it. They are willing to do the work, and I, in return, am happy to respond in kind. I have so much to give, so much love to give. I can only give it to so much. You can't pour from an empty cup. So it's a filter, and I'm very open about that filter. As long as you don't take advantage of each other's time and respect each other, then it's all gravy. So I'm blessed to be surrounded by so many people that I've chosen to be my circle that love me for who I am and see me for me and can see through all the bullshit.
It's interesting. You talked about how in 2006 was a formative experience, making you get outside of your shell, and your father passing, and how you picked up a camera. Can you talk a little bit about why that inspired you to become a photographer, and how that what was that genesis a little bit for you?
Sure. Thank you. Now, the first part is it only makes sense coming from you. I can't say oh, I'm not, cocky, I'm confident because I have results. That sounds really weird and inauthentic if it came from me. But yes, I mean, there is an aspect to which the nuance of critical thinking is that person the way they are because they are lacking something and they are making up for that lack, or have they accomplished so much they have no more, they just are proud of their accomplishments and they just want to go out there. I mean, it's not about what you do, it's also how you do it. So I really appreciate to hear that coming from you. But again, if it came from me, who's the messenger here, it would just sound really, really off. And I by no means think I'm anywhere near perfect. In fact, I'm more imperfect than anything else that I can take credit for. But it's just I'm a constant work in process. That in progress. I'm a constant work in progress. The reason I'm able to accomplish so much is because I'm constantly dissatisfied and constantly in need and in want to be better. And that's not gonna. And I'm just gonna. If I feel like I'm the best person in the world on anything, then that's when I get lazy and not
It's when it's
hungry.
Done.
Yeah, then when it's done, and then life is not really not worth living. In my perspective, life is that it's never going to be done, and you're constantly going to want more. And that came from after my dad died in 2006 from a sudden heart attack. Right after I had gotten an argument with him, and he went on a treadmill in New York Sports Club and had a sudden heart attack and died. It was such a shock at the time. I really remember that moment when I realized this is life. Life is constantly imperfect. It's constantly going to be dissatisfying. There's nowhere you can get to a point in life where everything is perfect, because something like this will just hit you and you have to deal with it. People are going to die all the time. That is something that we all have in common, is that everyone dies in a long enough timeline. Everyone experiences trauma and grief at some point. What do you want to be in your life when that happens? To someone that thinks everything's okay and have the rug pulled up from under them? Or do you want to be ready and constantly, not seeking trauma, but being prepared as much as possible, being ready, being on guard, not being caught off guard at all? And that, in my opinion, that's being comfortable with uncomfortable, constantly seeking things that make you uncomfortable and being good at them, being comfortable with it. And that is what that experience, subconscious, not my dad died and all of a sudden I had this cathartic moment. It was this constant falling down that summer. My mom got diagnosed with Parkinson's soon afterwards. My girlfriend at the time broke up with me soon after my father's funeral. All that happened in 2 weeks. And it was I always say that's the worst and best summer of my life, because that is how I choose to worship it. It was a summer full of failures and being let down and realizing life was far from perfect. But it's also the best summer of my life, is that it was the inflection point when I didn't take anything for granted. I started to channel gratitude, even in the worst of times, and realizing that instead of just waiting around for trauma to hit me and the next trauma, and the next trauma, and the next trauma, I'd rather be in the driver's seat and running towards the fire, constantly, being one step ahead, so that I'm no longer being caught off guard. I'm in control of my chaos to the best of my ability. No one's gonna be fully in control. You never know can never predict the future, let alone a pandemic. But at least at that point, I'm comfortable when it happens because I'm so comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I love how you said that, and satisfaction to me, that is the death of desire, right? And I believe that the miracle of life is not knowing what's going to happen, right? Because we fall. A lot of people say, "Woe is me! Why is this happening to me, God?" When it's a bad thing, and we don't ever say, "Why is this happening to me?" When it's like, "Man, I DM'd you, and all of a sudden you responded, and now we're here having this really." The unique experience from polar opposite places and getting to connect. It's an interesting thing, right? How serendipitous the whole thing is, and how we can learn from each other and vibe. I'm just impressed with how we have so many parallels in our philosophies that guide us. The spirit that keeps us going. And obviously, it's like, you see a runner who's running faster than you, and with the proper technique, which is, I believe, you in this metaphor. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna keep, trying to exemplify that mentality. So it's a really cool thing to see how you've handled such adversity, and just keep persevering and go through that fire. Tell me, this is another thing, and this is just from a slight Google stalk. You were in North Korea. Obviously you learned photography, and I've looked at your photos. Incredible work, even from your travels. That's how I started through my sister. She's Krista Simmons. She's a travel writer, writes for Condé Nast Travelers, all that stuff. Wow. Great journalist. We should connect you guys. And sure. She's like my inspiration. She never could get a travel show because they kept saying, "Oh, you're too similar to Anthony Bourdain, and you're too much like this." But we want a male voice and all this stuff. And I was like, Krista, I don't know what I'm doing with the camera. I love you. I'm so bummed that you're so bummed about this, and I'll figure it out, right? Trial by fire. I'll go through the fire. I'll learn how to open up the lens and take a picture and keep it in focus and and actually a lot of it was we were shooting in kitchen, so it was actually in the fire in the past. And I'm an ogre, as you can probably tell. I'm a large human, a sweaty guy, and so I'm in this tiny kitchen and in the past, and they're going fire, 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 and learned so much through that experience, and seeing all the stuff you've created. It's like, man, this guy is just like steel. You've truly just created this crisp energy. Now tell me, when you were in 2011, you're in North Korea. First of all, I mean that's incredible. What was that like, being there, taking those photos, and going in and feeling the energy in that hotel? What was that like for you?
I wasn't even aware that I was doing something too crazy at the time. Alcohol is a big thing in North Korea. Like, there's not much to do there other than drink. All the officers, all the tour guides, like all they did, after a long day was to drink a lot. So we were just not really scared or nervous. It was just the vibes were fine. You have to keep in mind I went in 2011, long before any tourist got jailed for anything. There was like a higher chance of getting hit by a car outside your house than anything bad happening to you as a tourist in North Korea, just simply by statistics. People get hit by a car all the time in front of my street. It's New York City, in my home, and at that time it was 0 tourists had been anything happened to them in 2011. So, people have snuck to into the 5th floor before in North Korea and got out, and it's fine because you can't really get in trouble for finding a place that doesn't exist. The North Koreans actually don't care. It's like being caught, in the staff bathroom of the Marriott. That's how they saw it. And we knew that. And they even told us, it's like, I know everyone wants to go to the 5th floor, but like, we don't understand why it's a big deal. Sure, go. Why? I don't see why it's a big deal to see where we work. So we went. We didn't like go immediately. We wanted to explore the whole hotel. Like, every time you check into a hotel, don't you want to like check out the ballroom, and then you want to take some free pens from the Hilton because there was a conference there, so maybe some free candy. Don't you want to check out the gym and the swimming pool because you might use it sometime? And that's essentially what we did. We just went on to floor by floor by floor because unlike other places, North Korea, once your tour activities are done, you cannot leave the Yangakta Hotel, the island which is on. Back then, there was only one hotel the tourists can stay on. So when it's nighttime, it's not like I can go out for a stroll. I mean, that's definitely breaking the rules. And some people actually did that, and I didn't do it, but they were just escorted back. So our playground was the hotel. So the hotel was pretty much all there for us to explore. So we started from the bottom and we went up, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we end up, if you start from 1, out of like 19, 29 floors, you're gonna hit number 5 pretty quickly. So we saw it pretty early, and every time we wandered there, they found us and they escorted back to an elevator to a different floor, saying, hey, this is the staff area, you can't be here. What was fascinating to us in that perspective was that it was just so different. It was a floor within a floor. So a lot of floors in that hotel, all the floors are like 10, 12 foot ceilings, but this one was about 5 to 6. It felt really, really low. So it just, it felt like half a floor. So it's just remarkable how it stood out relative to anything else. And it had these floor to ceiling paintings of this propaganda from the 50s and 60s or something, paintings that were like seemingly anti-Japanese and anti-American. And it was very creepy because relative to the rest of the hotel, which was very communist, blockbuster, Soviet style, it was very different from everything else. If you do design anything communist, Soviet blockbuster, you're supposed to have everything similar, exactly the same. That was the way, that Soviets preferred their layouts at the time, as opposed to like a capitalist, of the side of the Cold War, where everything has to stand out in unique ways to stand out in this or that. So that was interesting that this floor stood out. So it was just interesting, fascinating to us. And North Koreans delete your photos at the airport when you leave. They just, they choose and pick and like, this is too much, or this, I see, a soldier's uniform in the back, I'll delete that. And you don't get in trouble for that either. It's just they get to pick and choose. Well, I got to switch my memory cards because I ran out of memory, and they didn't get to see that memory card when they checked it at the airport. So I was able to publish about it. Nothing really happened out of that, and it's been 11 years since, or 10 years since, and they still ask, hey, how's he doing? Can he come back? But I wouldn't go back now because things have changed. You don't go outside when there are tornadoes. You go outside when it's sunshine. And I went in North Korea when it was sunny out. But not right now. It's like too many tornadoes, and there's a pandemic. So that was my North Korean experience.
So thank you for sharing. That's interesting. And you're like, Vice was almost started on a similar experience, right? With regards to the pandemic, with regards to the coronavirus outbreak, what was the first time when you were like, oh, damn, this is out of control? What was that day for you? And do you remember where you were and what the emotions were that were going through your head? And you were like, damn, how do I get back to action knowing the severity of the pandemic?
March 8th, 8 a.m. Was it 7 a.m.? 7 a.m., 8 a.m. on my sign out when I saw my first COVID patient. I had flown in March 7th at 6 p.m. from a 2-week trip I co-led in Angola, knowing that things were getting dicey. And I arrived just in time, literally, 6 p.m., like about 11 hours before my first shift. And boom, I hit the ground running. And I never left, since, pretty much. I haven't done an international trip since March 8th. And so I knew it was bad. I was already doing my research and reading about it and, how to ration care in the state of New York. Every state is different in terms of how they ration care. So just, being familiar with it. I've rationed care before in other countries when I worked there. And, it's a very sobering feeling. I mean, it's like participating in a lottery you don't want to be a part of. So, we all knew it was coming, and we all knew that we kind of signed up for this, but I didn't really sign up for lack of PPE though. I didn't sign up to, have conspiracy theories launched against us. I didn't sign up for healthcare workers to be furloughed and kicked out because they didn't have enough money to pay for us after the elective surgeries were canceled. That's all those things that we knew was brewing long before a pandemic, but when the pandemic actually made it clear that it was going to be unsustainable, it's like someone saying, I'm going to punch you in the face. Of course, now knowing that you're going to get punched in the face, it sucks. And then you get punched in the face. It doesn't make the punch in the face less painful. You got punched in the face. So it never feels good into it, but it still doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. I got punched in the face, and I'm getting punched in the face still. We're still going through it. It's January 6th, and 10 months in the United States has just gotten even worse outside of New York City.
I gotta tell you what, they got you in full mount. They're doing elbows. They're doing illegal punches.
They've got down.
Yeah, they're illegal knees. It's brutal, and
Yeah, we've
just
2,900 healthcare workers have died already. That's 2,900 of my colleagues. I can't even I said that number so many times and teared up so many times. It's the last thing I want to feel is numb, and it's just unconscionable. And I think that goes back to where you had said early in this podcast, why me, why me, why me? Like the thing that had kept me going back into it over and over again, among a multitude of factors, was why not me? What makes me so special that I'm going to get away with it? I'm probably going to be next. I'm going to die. And then I just basically accept that fact and just keep going back in, because if I stop doing it, that makes me feel like I'm special. I'm not special. I'm one of many going to war, and we're the sum of our parts. And if I don't go in, then the system can collapse. I mean, I'm not saying I'm that important. I'm saying if I decide to not go in, other people may decide, and it makes a huge difference. So, of course I was afraid of going in. Of course I was afraid. But then I was like, you know what? Courage can't exist without fear. You have to have fear to create that courage. And you know what? So I'd rather go in, no matter how afraid I am, just eat it up, to just, use that as fuel instead of preventing me from going to work, rather than preventing me from going to work, instead of use it as a fuel to push me to go back in, because that's the more, in my opinion, productive action. And it's very ironic, because as a per diem only employee, I thought I was gonna just sit it out, because I work whenever and wherever I want. I have no boss in scheduling me. I choose when and where to work. And I thought for things like this, I would be like, you know what, I'm saved up enough. I'm gonna sit it out and let it ride out. But eventually, ironically, what happened was I went in every day for the first 50 days back since March 8th. I was working, I think, 35 shifts. And then by day 50, they were like, oh, the patients are gone. The lockdown happened. And then they were like, we don't need you anymore. And thanks for your help. And there were no more jobs for a lot of my colleagues. I'm lucky that I'm per diem in many places, so I'm still working up to this day. But ever since that day 50, since March 5th, around late April, May, doctors and healthcare workers have been struggling to find work, which is another wave in a different sense as a casualty of this pandemic.
It's an interesting thing, being kind of like a freelance, mercenary for hire, so to speak, in these ER situations. It reminds, just what you said reminded me so much of, and I know this is an obscure reference, Battle LA. Have you ever seen this movie?
Yeah, I love that movie.
I love that
Aaron
movie
Eckhart.
so much. Aaron Eckhart. And I was one of my first, I donate platelets. It's my only, thing I give back. I pick up trash and donate platelets. That's all I got, and I remember donating platelets. And then I was watching that, and at the end of the movie, they've won this thing, and they're winning, right, the battle. And he goes in and he starts reloading his gun, right? And they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm going back in." That reminds me of you. It gives me chills. And it's like that Marine mentality. Obviously, my family who are in the Marines, and it's just like you are a Marine in the medical field. Now one question that I have for you, obviously, is that there's a lack of clear communication. I mean, obviously, in our administration, and just overall in America, about PPE, what to do, what not to do, and the guidance, and a lot of this is hampering the internal infrastructure of our mind about what do we do now. What do you do to conquer that, kind of the conspiracy theories, like you said, that people are saying, oh, this is BS and that is BS. What do you do to handle that frustration and still, propel yourself forward? And what would you say to other doctors who are experiencing these, obviously this is true adversity, going through residency and doing all this $300,000 in debt. You had your job, you lost your job, you were going to be a surgeon. Now you're not going to be a surgeon. Now you owe all this money, you bought a house. And what do you say to them? How do we inspire those people?
I mean, it's really twofold. And one is constant practice, and the second is to make a habit out of that constant practice. I mean, you said before, the Battle LA, to just go back in, the Marine, the vibe of the Marine. I mean, I'm not going to compare myself to a veteran. I mean, they've seen horrors and nightmares that, I can't relate to, but I've seen also enough death and destruction in the last 9 months to give you nightmares the rest of life. And still I go in. And that's the thing of making a habit of constantly going in, because, you know what? I rather die standing up than, cowering away and running away. It's a choice to make. And what works for me may not work for other people. And the same goes when you get bombarded with not only pandemics and COVID, and, at least the virus is, not hiding anything. It kills. That's what it does. It's when it comes to conspiracy theorists with good intentions, even with the best intentions, you have to make a habit of just keep doing your work and ignoring them. Why are they worth your energy and attention? These are people who don't give a fuck about you. Mm-hmm. They care about feeling relevant and important in a time where they don't feel relevant at all. They want to feel like they hit some gold mine and they're going to be the one to deliver the truth, or whatever the good intention they have. Or they want to save the world. They want to be the person that is the hero of the pandemic. So they do something that's completely illogical because it's an emotional argument they're trying to make. I feel bad about this. I don't have any logical thing to back it up other than emotionally what validates my logic. And they're gonna, no matter how much logic and data you're gonna throw at them, they're just gonna dig in more because it's an emotional argument, just like anyone who votes for anyone emotionally. You're never gonna win by logic. So unless you're gonna devote emotional labor and energy into convincing them otherwise, are they really worth it? I mean, if this is your mom or your partner, even then, are they worth it? Maybe it's better off just to cut them out of your life and focus on yourself. Focus on what matters to you, the people who do truly believe in you. And if they're not gonna do the work and they just wanna make opinions and attack me or be on the hate crowd, or haters gonna hate, vibes, or they just wanna live in negativity, that's their prerogative. I don't care enough to change how they wanna conduct and live their lives. I don't want it to affect my life because I wanna live my life with positivity and hope. And realistically, accepting that there's trauma and death and destruction in life, and that I've been part of that, and it's my every day of my life at work is everyone else's worst day of their lives, and making the most out of it, accepting my failures and my faults and being better. It's always being hopeful instead of criticizing. It's always constructive. That's how I choose to live my life. And if they don't want to do that, these conspiracy theorists want to tear that down or want to destroy you for some whatever emotional argument they want to make to feel relevant, fine, they can do that, but it's not in my network. We judge others by their behavior and only ourselves by our intentions. If they think they're doing something good, and no matter how much collateral damage it does, make sure the collateral damage doesn't involve you. Step away. Ignore them. They're not worth your time or energy. You have to focus your care and energy on the ones that do matter, the ones who do care about your opinion and listen to you and want to be helped by you, where your intentions and your behaviors do coincide for the greater good. Let them, suffer in their whatever dark circle of hell, wherever they go to after this is all over.
Right. Right. It's just like
I already given them too much attention enough right now.
I know. No. I agree with you. No, it's an interesting thing because I'm kind of in this weird place where I have some people who I actually used to respect. They went to MIT. They're smart. They know data. They know numbers. They can look at the longevity, the long-lasting effects. They know they know how to consult the biggest firms and understand that this is not real, and they're part of this resistance, and they're doing this stuff that is, getting together in groups of 20. And I'm just so confused and confounded by why they would do these things. And it's sort of
the desire for relevance. I think people are so lonely and deprived of emotional connections on this planet before this pandemic that they see this as an opportunity to feel connected again, to find others who think differently from them, and in that, lashing out of thirstiness or this desire for relevance, they believe whatever they believe in order to satisfy an emotional trauma that they endured, or a lack of emotional love language that they needed when they were growing up. I'm giving them a lot more attention as I said than I deserve, but I also sometimes feel bad for them. They must be so scared, and in that fear they just start believing in things in their own worlds in order to satisfy that fear. It's like discrimination back in the 60s and for 50, since the dawn of time actually, but the civil rights movement, people got scared of whatever was different, and therefore in that fear they lashed out at anything that seemed different, and surrounded themselves in their little bubbles and their echo chambers in order to feel secure again. From a place of negativity, one can be driven mad to do anything and think anything. But that's, again, too much energy for me to give a shit about.
Right. No. You kind of, it's a perfect segue, though. Perfect segue to the next thing, because obviously you're a filmmaker in addition to being a creative and, CEO and freelance savior. And I watched your film last night, actually 2 nights ago, and it was really poignant. Obviously, I put in there, explosions in the sky always gets me emotional, but I believe it's your directorial debut of Asian American Beauty, a discourse on the female body image. It's poignant.
Thank you. It was my third big movie, but my first one was in high school, called The Rice They Carried. But that's the first one in college that I'm very proud of.
And that one blew up, right? You got into a bunch of festivals. Please,
Yeah.
can you tell me, a little bit about like what inspired you to make that project and how did the genesis of that? And
a girl I had dated. At the beginning of the project, I was dating she's my former girlfriend. Was struggling with an eating disorder, so didn't know how to express that trauma she was a freshman in college. I was 2 years above her. And I wanted to give her some guidance because she asked for it. And part of the language in which I feel can be expressed was to show that, that she's not alone, was through film and filming others and interviews. Obviously, she was credited as, the producer and taking control of the project. I just provided technical support by filming people and asking questions and doing the editing. She took the lead, but, I gave her the reins. I wanted her to feel in control of her trauma and, the being in command of, whatever was having her go through the time of anorexia and bulimia nervosa. So it was for me to learn as a privileged Asian American, 6'1", alpha cisgendered man who really has no one-to-one reality and experience with an eating disorder. And I have all this privilege as a man who never had to struggle with that growing up in New York City. And I've heard about it. I know of friends who went through it, but of course it's very hard for them to going through that, to relay their feelings and open up to a man, let alone me. And so when I was when she was courageous enough to even just open up to me about these things, I wanted to help. And when she asked for my help, this was the only way I knew how to offer it, my own love language, I guess. And I hope it provided some solace. It wasn't perfect, the experience, but I think the most beautiful things come out of imperfections.
No, yeah, nothing's ever perfect. And as an artist, I'm sure you both agree that there's something poetic about just making something, sharing with the world, being vulnerable, and there's nothing perfect about becoming vulnerable, right? Telling someone, hey, I have this, I feel this. I think that segues perfectly to our Stop the Stigma section, which I think is really important right now more than ever. We're going to take a moment to be grateful for moments like these where we can have a sip of coffee or tea. The Broken Dove podcast is sponsored by Kilo. Kilo app takes a qualitative approach to tracking your mental health by analyzing the quality of your sleep, workout, diet, even libido. Kilo keeps me dialed in. Kilo motivates me to work hard in and out of the gym. It also helps me maintain relationships and keep perspective, because no matter how bad you got it, someone has it worse. And trust this, we need you out there. Maybe do it for your son, your student. Do it for someone you've yet to meet, your inner savage. Dig in and do work. Kilo, building better humans. Back in. You were obviously, you predicted well before a lot of people the rise in mental health crisis, that was going to come in the second wave, right? In the summer, and also right now as we come out of winter, a lot of depression happens in the wintertime, and as we go into spring, we have the manic episodes that will kind of come in the Ides of March and all that stuff. What do one thing that I've suffered from is that I have bipolar 1 disorder, and I found that out when I was 27, and very traumatic experience, and it was awful, right? Not knowing what this was, not knowing until after the fact that I had family members that committed suicide, and other family members who had this disease, and how it can truly scare people. It can really ostracize you, alienate you from people who don't understand this and don't understand what mental illness is. It's not just someone yelling at, to someone who's not there. Like we see a lot of mockery of it, even in cinema today. What do you think, how do we as, creatives, how do we as humans lean into stopping the stigma and exploring that and just opening up more?
I mean, mental health is like a language. People experience something that a subsect of the population may not understand or be oblivious to or claim they never experienced. And when you experience it more thoroughly and fully, whether you're more like empathetic, or you experience more trauma, or you allow yourself to feel things that, in a way that is considered exhausting, you begin to learn a language, whether it's your own love language, your trauma language, and that language is shared by a lot of people. When we did the documentary on body image and eating disorders, what was a solace to her was to find out that she wasn't alone on campus in her thoughts, that she saw that a lot of her friends were brave enough to come on camera and then tell her, to reassure her that she wasn't alone, that everyone else. And then when they saw the documentary, realizing that everyone else surrounding them, it was very, comprehensive, in which people felt that, it was a problem that wasn't an isolating thing. It was a language. Everyone found out that everyone found out that other people spoke a language they thought before this, this documentary, that they only themselves spoke. I don't think anyone else understands this. I don't think anyone else goes through this. It's just like this. I don't think anyone understands me when I enter a foreign country. I don't think they really speak my language. So mental health is like a language in which that the world needs to be able to not only understand that it's something that should be learned, but also be willing to learn it and take on as someone with privilege, to take on the responsibility with that privilege to learn that language, so they can interact and better connect with those people who are suffering with mental health issues at the time. To be patient, to be empathetic, to understand that mental health is physical health. It's all one and the same. And just like how we put so much focus, especially during a pandemic, on physical health, I think that it should equal, if not more, equitable, definitely, because we're not doing enough of it, to put more of an emphasis than we have on physical health, more of an emphasis on mental health, so that to make it more equitable and to reach it out. But that in order to do that responsibly, it's like giving money. Oh, I'm gonna give money to a charity. But you don't know do you know what you're giving to? Are you sure you're not making corporations richer and they're just stuffing them out? Or it's about not what you do, but how you give it. Are you nuancing the culture of the local population, the problems in the area, to be able to give responsibly? The same thing with investing in mental health resources. Are you learning the language before you get into it, so you're investing responsibly and appropriately?
That was beautifully put. What would you say to, because obviously you work in hospitals where you see people who do come in and they're having episodes, and it's their worst day, right? I remember there was, when I was there, and not really, it's not an ideal moment, but you're kind of chained to a gurney, and there's security guards making sure that you don't go anywhere. And in that moment, I brought in, there was this young kid, Ezekiel. He came in and he was having a wild episode and seeing demons and all of this stuff. What would you say to family members out there who are witnessing their daughter or their son or their friend go through this to them? Hey, understand that this is a medical issue, as opposed to them trying to actually be harmful. Is there anything any advice for them?
Well, it depends on what the family members are going through at the moment themselves. What place are they in order to even receive a certain type of information? You have to meet them where they are. If they're too caught off guard, or it's a family whose culture doesn't believe in mental health issues, or a father or a guardian that doesn't quite understand their child, it really depends. It's millions and countless countless myriad of ways into which approach a family member about a patient going through something specific, because every family, it speaks a different language, not literally, but figuratively, in terms of their mental health. Some of them are very familiar with mental health, so you only have to say is certain things, then they totally get it, that you get them. And some family, they don't even believe in the concept of mental health. They don't think it exists. They think it's a fallacy. And then you have to approach them in a different way. So I can't really answer that appropriately. You have to individualize the care and approach to a family member when somebody, is going through something. And are they the cause of that psychotic break, or the psychosis or the mental health trigger? Are they the cause of it, or are they helpful at all, or are they in a position to even understand and be willing to help and assist? Really, I can't answer for that.
No, but that isn't, it's a question and an answer. Is the family member the cause? As we know genetically, there are some suggestions there as well. But wow, that was really, even when you're asking things, it makes sense. It answers a lot of questions.
When I mean cause, I mean like, did they say or neglect to do anything? But I guess you meant it in a more genetic component, which is also a valid reasoning. I mean, it's not going to be very helpful in the moment when you're in an emergency situation, but in the long-term chronic, therapy for someone going through this, it's the nature versus nurture, balance that you have to consider. It's never a zero-sum game, black and white approach to something like mental health.
Well, actually, when you said that, it made me think of the genetic tie, but also the nature-nurture cross divide where, I had a personal experience when I was having my first one where I went home and my parents were really scared. They were just like, what's going on? And I was like, I don't know what's going on. I feel like off and I feel different. And something's wrong, Mom and Dad. I'm here. And I remember my father got upset, and he was upset, like, you're on drugs. And I was like, no, I've been sober for 10 days. Trust me, I love to party, but I'm not partying. I'm sobering up because I knew this would happen. And, we got in an argument and it really kind of, I don't know if trigger's the right word. It sent me down a spiral, at least, of anger, and then I went down a further of a rabbit hole. I don't want to blame anyone. It was obviously my own experience, and it had to happen. But it's an interesting thing to think about. Like, sometimes there are things that can, push you further.
Now, there are three people in a relationship. Yeah. I'm saying there are three people in a relationship. What was he going through, and what was your relationship going through at the time, and what you're going through? And it's trying to like close your eyes and try to draw three lines and have them all intersect at what point. And it's going to be extremely difficult to reconcile if all three are in flux.
True. Yeah. Well, hey, we're going to go into our rapid fire section. This is a quick section. We are doing this is 45 seconds. I want you to get out of your head, think as quick as possible. One word answers. All right. And, 3, 2, 1, and Nikon or Canon?
Nikon.
Oh, okay, that's a good answer. Candid or portraits?
I'm looking at Nikons right now. Like, my dad left me Nikon lenses, and I had to put them to use, and therefore it's something personal to me. I mean, obviously, if I had to choose now, it depends on which is the better price point, but they essentially equal now. But yeah, I'm looking at Nikon, so Nikon always served me well.
That's a photographer. Candid or portraits?
Candid.
Okay, favorite country you visited?
Oh, that's a top 10 list right there.
Top 3.
No, there's like in what parameter? Like most beautiful, most crazy, most fun, most magical.
Most beautiful? Most beautiful place you visited?
Natural beauty-wise, it would be Namibia, Antarctica, and Greenland.
Okay, and then what about wildest party you've had internationally?
Cuba.
Oh man, I'm jealous. Okay, favorite pizza or pasta?
Pizza.
Slice. Okay, he's in New York. That was an easy one. We're doing TV shows. ER or House?
ER.
Okay. Another one. I have Scrubs or General Hospital?
Scrubs.
Okay, good answer. Your spirit animal?
Platypus, because you don't know what it is, where it belongs. Totally lost and confused. Tiger, I guess, born the year of tiger. That's so cliche. I'm a Scorpio Sagittarius cusp. Yeah, platypus, a cusp, right? I'm weird everything.
I'm a panda guy. I love pandas. Those my teddy bear. So
great.
They're so sweet, and they're always just kind of jolly and rolling around. Okay, and then I have just one last before we go to our plug section. Any messages to people who are out there in an effort to curtail the spread of the coronavirus?
Just don't forget about us. Just see what we're doing and just listen to our voices, how exhausted we are. And if you have any sort of empathy out there and want to be a team player, just do your part. There's no one-size-fits-all policy that I want to give. It depends on where you are, where you're located, what your local communities believe in, what your privileges are, and what you're suffering through right now. What how many spoons you have left, whether you've been hunkering down or partying like crazy. Everyone has different journeys to go through, but at the very least, channel some sort of empathy and try to see if you can be a team player, because, you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And we've been trying so hard to stick together so that this world goes far as it can, but we're all getting exhausted. And pretty soon there'll be none of us left if you keep going this rate. none of us left to be able to take care of you or your loved ones when it's your turn to get sick.
And, one last thing, you talked about suffering, and this is my first feature film is actually Suffer for Good. I'm going to send you a copy of this, Doc. It's an incredible story about Seb Zaude. He's a political refugee who almost died in a knife fight, and the NIH and Dr. Rick Hodes, who's a CNN hero, came and saved his life, and he came to the U.S. And so it's an inspiring story about going through that adversity and suffering and enduring, and he gets back in the ring for one last fight because of the political ramifications of the boycott on the Olympics in 1984. So I want to send you that screener, and I think it would resonate a lot with you. Do you have anything you'd like to plug? Obviously your Instagram. You want to plug some stuff right now?
I guess it'll be in the show notes. If you like what you heard, I guarantee you'll never remember what I said the next morning and thereafter. No one remembers the things I say, but I made you feel something, some kind of emotional hook, and you want to stay in touch, or you want to, be on top of that energy in some way, or, if you feel some kinship towards that, you're not alone. And you can follow me on social media. I was big on Facebook. I still am big on Facebook. That was my original Monsoon Diaries, MONSOONDIARIES, or Calvin D. Sun. We both post fairly similar, both of those handles post similar content anyway, whether it's traveling or medicine or COVID. It's all this big nebula, like an awkward platypus that I am. My Instagram has now become my primary, simply because it's the platform that most people relate to and respond well and derive the most value out of it. I respond to, play jazz. I respond to what is responsive to me. So my Instagram handle is Monsoon Diaries, MONSOONDIARIES. And of course, monsoondiaries.com is my website, which has a running blog ever since I started. I started traveling after losing a bet at a bar, which led me to lose another bet and apply to medical school and fly by the seat of pants, and then become a doctor without ever realizing that I was meant to be a doctor all this time, as well as having traveled to 190 countries, taking thousands of others with me, just like Forrest Gump, without even being aware that it was happening. To this day, I still take people on my trips. Whether I go alone or with people, I'm happy to take people along, as long as you share my energy and you can handle my intense travel style and personality. I take everybody, as long as you don't piss me off. So let's go.
Well, I think you and I are going to be on a travel journey soon with my sister, Krista Simmons.
Your friend, your sister, the Condé Nast one. I heard the same thing when there were some producers that wanted me to run a travel show, but they said, you're not Anthony Bourdain. And the funny thing is, they weren't looking for a man. They told me they were looking for a white female to take over in his stead, and I wasn't fitting the bill. So they told my producers, no, this is not. His story is great, but can he find somebody to do his shows? And that's essentially the theme they told me they were getting. And I think for your sister, they were telling her they wanted a man. I don't know. I guess they'll say anything.
Whatever it is, they're saying no, and it's still a bunch of white dudes out there on travel shows. So we're gonna change it. We might even just create a show with the both of you, going around the world.
Yeah, let's just do it together.
Yeah.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Fuck it. We're doing it live. No rules, baby. I just want to say thank you so much. I'm hugging you from afar. Come on.
I feel it.
And I seriously, I genuinely can't wait to meet you in person. Thank you so much for your time, and keep, you are doing the, God's work. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you. That means a lot to me to hear. Thank you so much. Just a normal guy in extraordinary circumstances, pinching myself and being grateful to be able to meet people like you, despite these dark times. And if anything, it's bittersweet to know that we have all come together. I wish there was no pandemic, but then at the same time, there's no pandemic, we would never have met. So this is that's what I tear myself off. And that's another mental health question right there in itself.
Hey, before you go, let's just end this on a pistol squat. Come on, let's do it. I'm going to try to see if I can. I'm going to.
Which leg?
I was doing left leg. My right knee's terrible. All right, 3, 2, 1, and.
Oh, can you see me through that?
Oh! I can feel you.
Okay, I think I'm better on my right leg. Yeah, there we go.
And that's boom. And that's boom. The day of his second vaccine shot. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. How do I look?
You look great. I
got it at 10 a.m. So it's now 8 hours in. I feel fine.
You look great. This is a great testament to the vaccine, and I can't wait to meet you in person and shoot some crispy photos.
I can't wait as well. The pleasure would be mine. One day.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Have a good night. Ciao.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Broken Dove Podcast is executive produced by Ellen Utrecht, edited by Megan Solano, audio by Dory Bavarsky, and artwork by Neve Bavarsky. Please like, subscribe, follow, stalk, DM, love them all. They're amazing. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your rave reviews, your shares, your comments, your spam to your friends, your email blasts, your Clubhouse chats about this episode. Thank you so much. We appreciate all the love, the merits, the accolades, the attention, and most importantly, the thumbs up. Talk soon. We're out.